twist to Super Bowl 58, now that it's in the rearview mirror, that comes from the Columbia Broadcasting Systems, as they did a victory lap, better known by their regular name, CBS. But they're actually the Columbia Broadcasting Systems. If you didn't see this, perhaps not. They were the ones broadcasting the game. How could you miss Tony Romo? Anyway, CBS Sports announcing that Super Bowl 58, the broadcast that was all over the place on Sunday, was the most watched telecast in the history of the world. So they say. They claim.
Wow.
123.4 men, women, and children. I'd like to meet the 0.4.
Wow.
I'd like to meet the 0.4. I don't know who the 0.4 is. But tune in. Now, overall, though, but wait, there's more. I love the way they slice up numbers. I need the people at CBS to break down the ratings on Benny versus the Penny is what I need. Because we were the number one show in blankety-blank demographic. Anyway, overall, they claim 202.4 million viewers watched at least a little bit of the broadcast. That makes it the highest unduplicated total audience in the history of the world, and a 10% bumpity bump from last year's Super Bowl where Kansas City played Philadelphia. And it makes sense. I'll explain my theory on why the numbers are up, but there's a lot of chatter, a lot of internet chatter, that the reason the ratings have gone up this year, the reason that they are higher, is because of girl power. That's right, girl power. Woo! Say what? Yes. I think you know where I'm going with this, but perhaps you've been in a van down by the river and have not been paying attention. So how much credit, let's discuss, how much credit does Taylor Swift get for the record-setting Super Bowl 58 record television ratings? How much credit does Taylor Swift get for the record Super Bowl ratings? So people are already giving her credit. I've got Minneapolis, Hasbro, and Blue Whale. And we will combine all of these things together. We're going to make some peanut brittle. I've been dabbling with peanut brittle. I got to make more peanut brittle. I've mastered the peanut brittle. I'm still working on it, but I think I'm pretty close to mastery. All right, anyway. So, again, the question above us or below us, depending on where you're sitting. The question is, how much credit does Taylor Swift get for the record-setting television ratings for the Super Bowl? So my first thought here is I do not want to be a prisoner of the moment. Now, if you saw Benny versus the Penny, the final episode, we addressed the Taylor Swift phenomena in terms of her impact on Super Bowl ratings, because in the lead up to the game, there were people already giving her credit, even though the game had not been played, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So listen, Taylor Swift in this story was the female lead in the drama-o-rama, the soap opera that was this year's Super Bowl. We all know that. She was the starlet chugging beers in the luxury box, the multi-million-dollar luxury box in Viva Las Vegas. So that was her role in this, the starlet with the beer. How exciting. But as wonderful as that is, being the objective voice of nonsense in the middle of the night, I'm going to give Taylor Swift 5% of the credit, and that's it. No more than 5%. The reason, the Swifties, spoiler alert, unpopular opinion, the Swifties already watched the Super Bowl. Everyone watches the Super Bowl, and unless you're a total introvert, and I'm an introvert, and I still watch the Super Bowl. So everyone's watching. The people that don't watch, who cares about them? It is the cultural event. It is not a sporting event. It's a cultural event. It's no different than eating turkey on Thanksgiving or shooting fireworks off on the 4th of July. The Super Bowl has become that. That's what it has become. Now, are there 5% of people that maybe tune in a little more because of Taylor Swift? Fine. But she was shown, according to some Poindexter that kept track of this, for less than a minute. Now, I've heard from people that a lot can happen in less than a minute, but less than a minute. That's it, 54 seconds. 95, this is going to blow you away. 95% of the reason the game was watched by the masses. The reason? The players. It was a solid event, right? There's two main reasons that the Super Bowl set the record for ratings. The NFL does happen to be the opium of the masses, right? That's the first part. It's just our drug. We all use it, and we enjoy it, and it's wonderful. It calms us down. It's become a bit of a religion for many. And then you've got the Minneapolis factor, as in the Minneapolis cheeseburger. A nice, fat, juicy Lucy. That game was a big, juicy Lucy gooing with delicious cheese coming out of it. Just wonderful, right? Gooey goodness. You had high drama, check. You had nail biter, check, right? Ooh. Which is part of the high drama. You had the dramatics of lead changes late in the game, the 49ers blowing the Super Bowl. How great was that to watch? You had the anointing of the new dynasty officially, even though we gave the Chiefs a dynasty last year. So you had all these moving parts, and it led to what we had. Ratings gold. Abracadabra. It also tells us that side by side, because as I recall last year's Super Bowl, or 2 years ago now, the Eagles and the Chiefs, so it's not a bad game. It was a good game. That's not a bad game. So this means there are 10% more 49er fans than there are Eagle fans across the country. How about that for some Maller math? That's good Maller math. All right, now page 2. I want to go back to the game itself, not the ratings, but where are you at on the continued dialogue about Kyle Shanahan and his rationale for taking the ball in overtime? So now, Kyle Shanahan, I did not see this in the previous episode of the show, and I saw what he had said following the game, and it was such an outrageous comment that we must play it again. Here is Kyle Shanahan. Now, remember, this is the first time under the new rules that a game had gone into a situation where you had to decide, would you want the ball first, did you want to defer, knowing that even if you score a touchdown, each team's going to touch the football. So the 49ers had the decision to make. Kyle Shanahan had the decision to make. And if you missed it, even if you heard it, this is so ridiculous. Listen to Shanahan explain why he made the decision that he made.
With the new rules for overtime, what goes into the decision to take the ball first there?
It's just something we talked about with, none of us have a ton of experience of it, but we went through all the analytics and talked with those guys, and we just thought it'd be better. We wanted the ball third. If both teams matched and scored, we wanted to be the ones who had the chance to go win, and we got that field goal, so we knew we had to hold them to at least to a field goal, and if we did, then we felt it was in our hands after that.
Wow. Yeah. That's not edited. We didn't edit that, right? He actually said that. That's not AI. That's him. That's not a deep fake. What a dummy. Man. All right, where are you at on what you just heard there? Kyle Shanahan, his rationale for taking the ball first in overtime. So it shows you that he's just another ballless middle manager. He's no different than Dave Roberts with my Dodgers, right? Dave Roberts makes a move in the baseball place. Well, we liked him in that spot, the analytics. So Kyle Shanahan, he talked to some nerd, and some nerd told him, well, you're based on it, you're going to get the ball third. Well, good news, Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers, you're going to get the ball when the exhibition season comes around. You'll get the ball the second possession, right? Third possession, whatever, you'll get that. It also shows no confidence in the defense, which, by the way, I agree with, because the 49er defense, they weren't even hustling in some of the playoff games, right? So they're a joke. But that is a bold move, Cotton. That is a bold move. And Shanahan passing the buck, as all middle managers do, passing the buck to some Ivy League geek who the 49ers hired. Oh, well, we went over the numbers. We trust the numbers. So instead he gave Mahomes 4 downs instead of 3, and then passed the buck. But it also validates a long-standing take that we've had behind the bully pulpit here at Fox Sports Radio, that when you look at the way analytics has taken over sports, it is now the crutch. Kyle Shanahan and Dan Campbell's another one with the Lions, all these guys that are so dependent, they're just middle managers, just following the Bible of the analytics. it gives them the Hasbro out, the Monopoly get out of jail free card. Well, listen, I would have deferred, but the analytics, I was just following the analytics. You can't be upset with me. Look at the numbers. Okay, dummy. Wow. Wow. All right. Now, the problem with putting too much weight on analytics, for those of you in the back of the room, it's called anomalies. It's also in the playoffs. We've seen it in baseball a lot. It's the small sample size. It's playing better teams, getting rid of the dead weight, which is another issue. But the third possession thing didn't factor in because if you believe Andy Reid, who knows, maybe they're lying, but the Chiefs were like, hey, if the 49ers had scored a touchdown and kicked the extra point, so they had a 7-point lead, the plan was for the Chiefs to matriculate the ball down the field, score a touchdown, so they're down by a point, and go for 2. Go for the win. Did you factor that in? Did Poindexter for the Niners factor that in? God, Bill Walsh is rolling over in his grave right now. It's like, holy crap, what are we doing? I mean, my God. All right, now, last word here. Another talking point for the losers is the lack of understanding of the rules. Now, several 49er players admitted they had no clue about the Super Bowl overtime rules. And how big a deal? The question is, how big a deal is it that the players on the Niners claim they did not know, did not understand the overtime rules? So I have an unpopular opinion on this one. I'm actually, even though I'm just killed Shanahan, on this one, I don't have a big problem with it, and I'll explain why. All right, as much as I would love to continue charbroiling Shanahan, because it's a lot of fun when you have a microphone just to goof on a coach. It's a good time. To me, it's irrelevant whether the players knew the exact overtime rules or not, and here's why. It's compartmentalization is what it is. It's Shanahan calls the plays. It doesn't matter the rules as far as you're trying to score a touchdown. You're bringing a play in. The goal is to score a touchdown as an offense. It's not like you're going to let up because, well, I'll just take a field goal. No, you're trying to score a touchdown. And the big picture, while it's great if everyone knew the rules, it's like you're trying to get one of those 300,000-pound blue whales, right? The massive blue whale. You're trying to eat it. How do you eat it? You eat it one bite at a time. So how do you go down and score? You just gain first downs. You move the ball down, and you get in the end zone. And, oh, by the way, as much as everyone wants to say, well, Andy Reid's players knew what was happening, didn't McCole Hardman, after he scored a touchdown, say, hey, wait a minute, I didn't realize the game was over? Didn't he say that? But wait a minute, he was an Andy Reid player. So Andy Reid players didn't know the rules either. Apparently nobody knew the rules. No, not even the referees knew the rules.